What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you with another great pre-show. I'm joined by two great gentlemen, and if you're just joining us for the very first day, let me tell you, we have action-packed matches for you today. If you haven't peeked at them, don't worry. We're going to walk you through a few of them, but let's get straight to our pre-show elements and talk to our good friends. One, starting with Jake Watson. Jake, how you doing, sir?
I don't like the way you said starting with Jake, but I'm very excited to be here, Raf. Thank you so much. Day one of the PGF World Bracket starting today. I'm so excited. It's a pleasure to be here.
Jake, it's a pleasure to have you at the grown-ups table. We're going over to our good friend, Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
I got to tell you, I'm doing fantastic. I know I told you yesterday was the best day, the moment we were waiting for, but I lied. The day is really today. It's about to go down. Get ready.
Well, speaking of getting ready, let's not waste any time. Let's go straight to our board, and we have a lot to get through. But actually, first, I want to go ahead and let's put a pause on that board, actually. We have teams to talk about. I was so excited I wanted to get to the board, but we have teams to preview, so my apologies. Let's get straight to the people who were drafted yesterday and who ended up on which teams where. So first, why don't we have Jake? Why don't you tell us who was on Hodger's team?
So Hodger's team is Team Epic Roll, and that features Andy Varela, the person who was drafted for the highest price, and it got John Combs, AJ Agazarm, Kevin Sherrill, and Matt Elkins on that team. Stacked team right there, Raf.
Absolutely. Tim, can you talk us a little bit about who Jean-Jacques Machado drafted yesterday?
Yes, we have Team X Marshall here. It is being led by Elijah Carlton, Season 5 winner, David Asari, the New Wave standout, Hindulatine expert, Ben Eddy, David Evers, and Nathan Haddad.
Beautiful. Let's keep this going. Jake, talk to us about Dean Lister's team.
So Dean Lister's team is Black Rifle Coffee, number 1 seed, PJ Barch, Max Hansen, Mike John, Samson Famabout, and the electric Jamie Carnell on that team.
The biggest crowd pleaser that we have so far.
Absolutely.
And we haven't even started anything yet. Tim, talk to us about Hegan's team.
Hegan's team is first form. That breaks down to Hanato Canuto, Daniel Sattler, Kevin Buring, Cameron Hurd, and the youngster Jet Thompson.
I got to say, guys, these are some awesome teams.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get to this board, and now we're getting to this board. But since we're talking about surprises, I wanted to ask each of you, what surprised you most at the draft? And actually on this one, we're going to start with you, Tim.
You know, I think the thing that surprised me most is that most of the coaches kind of came out with a similar strategy. They seem to be spending big for guys in the top 5, top 6. Some guys came out with specific guys in mind, especially Hegan Machado. He was set on getting the kid Jet Thompson. He talked about him. He was looking for him. He came into this auction looking for that kid. I thought that was very specific, very interesting. But yeah, I think it's mostly these guys playing for the top players seem to be the theme of the day.
That was really interesting to see. And I think they set aside $1,300 for him at the end of the day?
1,200.
1,200. Thank you for the correction. I appreciate that. Jake, what surprised you the most yesterday, sir?
So I'm actually going to give Tim a minute to explain himself, because one of the things that surprised me the most was the fact that our very own pre-show appears to have been compromised. Tim, you were spending a little bit of time down there with Hegan Machado. Tell us what that was all about.
Well, you know, I know we alluded to some rumors yesterday that potentially this is something that could happen. I was tapped by the commissioner, perhaps to sit in a specific area, maybe share my thoughts out loud, not to anyone specific, but anyone who is in the vicinity could hear some advice and helping put the team together. Obviously, it's a strong team. He went out hard after Hanato Canuto, saved up some money, got some good guys, got Sattler at a steal for $1,100, I thought, or 1,100 points, and was able to round out his team quite nicely and still get Jet Thompson. So, you know, maybe there was a little outside help, not much. Like I said, Hegan came in with a very specific mindset and certain guys that he really wanted to get on his team.
Okay. You know you're supposed to disclose that information here before you go through with it, sir.
I can neither confirm nor deny if I actually had that information.
Okay. I think we have the confirm. We don't need the deny. At this point, we saw what we saw. I could roll to a photo, but I'm not going to do that because we got to get to another roll tape right now. Now, who surprised me? I think it has to be one of the most unmovable, unflappable human beings I have existed in this planet with, and that's one PJ Barch. Take a look at this following footage and understand that yesterday, PJ Barch became a human meme. You're going to understand what I'm saying when you see PJ responding to when he was drafted yesterday. So if you're looking at it, you would see it, but it's not there. So I'm just going to talk you through what it was. PJ was essentially starting to make big gestures, move around. You got to scroll down, Octavio, and when that happens, you're going to see that PJ Barch was so surprised by how much money he was going for that at a certain point, he literally looked at us and went, well, I really wish you guys would spend more money on somebody else. So I felt that was a little bit of a surprise to me. So, on a topic that's called surprises, I guess I can get surprised myself despite programming it myself.
That's all right.
It's okay. It's what we go with.
It's fitting.
So there is that. Oh, did you find it? Hold on. Waiting for word. This is worth waiting for, so I don't mind giving this a split second. If we're on the scenes and you scroll all the way down, you will see it. Yep. All right. What's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and preview to another thing, and we're going to go to our next topic, which is deal. So I'm going to ask this on over to Tim first. Tim, who do you think got the best deal?
I think not because I helped, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but I think Hegan got a really good deal. Getting Sattler at $1,100 or $1,200, I can't remember the exact amount, I think was a steal. It gave him space in his budget to go hard after a couple other guys. I think it worked out well for him. It was surprising that some of the big names went for so much. I don't think we've seen anyone break $5,000. I could be wrong, or 5,000 points, I should say, previously in PGF history, but we had 3 guys top that this season. I was surprised that it went out that high. Usually you see a little bit more of a conservative strategy, but it just goes to show that these coaches are paying attention. They're looking at what's happening. They're coming into it with a more informed decision and a more informed approach, and they're really looking to score big during the auction because this is really when they have the chance to actually impact and affect their team. It's kind of hard just to come in and start coaching a bunch of guys after 24 hours, but it's not hard if you put those guys together. You could really affect the performance and put together a very, very good winning team.
Thank you for that, Tim. Jake, what was the best deal, I guess I should say, that you thought in your head?
Yeah, Raph, I think that, Tim has brought it up on a couple different occasions that Daniel Sadler was an absolutely great deal for that team. He's the 8th seed and was drafted for 1,100 points. I think that he is an athlete that a lot of people aren't really considering, but he is incredible. And he has a victory over Max Hansen, who's number 1, and he has won by submission against some of the greatest athletes in the world. He has a great style. He comes from the great camp. I think he's actually the exclusive Autos competitor here at the PGF World. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited to see what he's capable of doing. I think that him being drafted as the 8th seed and going for that low of a price definitely surprised me a lot. I think it was a great deal.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. I'm going to defer my answer to this and go back to the last question because I hear that we have it ready to go. So here's what I want to point out to you. If you didn't quite understand what I was talking about with PJ before, take a look at this footage and tell me if you think any differently. Again, the normally cool, calm, collected PJ Barch looking around, slightly nervous here, now starting to realize, I'm worth a lot of money. Did anybody collect any coupons? Do we have extra money? Are we getting a bank loan to get extra players? Oh boy, these glasses just became heavier. Wow. And in doing so, he now is at a point of basically bargaining and collective denial at the same time. And yet at the very end, what I want to say to him is he definitely deserves it. A long-time vet, somebody who's been giving a submission finishes for a very long time. So I'm very excited to see him react to that. But it is the first time I've seen him be a meme. And speaking of surprises, I want to take my last few seconds to read through a text that we saw going to the text chain of all the athletes. Can we roll that real quick? It says, "Great job, all of you standing on the auction block tonight. Couldn't and wouldn't be me. I enjoyed watching you on my phone, though. Anyway, but I'm sure you'll get more than you can handle very soon. As for my teammates, look forward to dragging you all to victory. Yours truly, the GOAT." One guess. Who do you think wrote that one? Tim Freeman.
That is very, very easy because this guy loves writing. He's basically the Ernest Hemingway of submission grappling. We're talking about the great AJ Agazarm, the no-show to the auction. I told you he was a saboteur. I told you he was the greatest villain of all time. You didn't want to believe me, and once again, he came through just like I thought he would.
I want to point this out. Nobody disbelieved you. We got more evidence for it, though, I think is the only thing. Let's go now to our next topic, which is, all right, we got through deal. Now it's time to talk about style. A lot of the athletes came here, sure, decked out in different garb, but some people went above and beyond, and we want to identify a few of those folks. Jake, why don't you lead us off?
So, Season 3 PGF World Champion David Evers comes in a suit, looking like he was trying to appear and take our spot on the pre-show. Looked just decked to the nines, came in very professional. He is, after all, a rocket engineer, much smarter than me. And he came up looking very, very professional. So hats off to David Evers. And I respect the wardrobe choice.
You know, I'm glad that he was able to do it. He definitely looked like he was coming straight from his graduation in high school. So I was very proud of him. Definitely looked very well dressed. And you know what? I was a little mad. Arms filled out a little bit more than our suits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, his legs, too. He's very big.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. I was a little offended by that.
Squats.
But let's do this. Tim, tell us a little bit about who caught your eye.
Oh, that's easy. That was Andy Varela. He came in dripping. He came in with the Versace shirt, the Gucci pants, the Louis Vuitton loafers. He had the vintage, nice, stylish Oakley sunglasses. He was rocking it with the haircut to match. We were both dressed so sharp, honestly, that we couldn't give each other a hug for fear one of us would have to go to the hospital. We had to be very, very careful when we dapped each other up, but we made it through. So yeah, for sure, Andy Varela, top notch, best dressed.
Well, I think that's very well stated. He also came dressed in a crop top, so he, like Gambit, trying to bring them back, I see.
That's true. He did. You're right about that. A very tasteful one at that.
I'm going to tell you this. The person who I picked, I think, head and shoulders above everybody else. You guys mentioned some good people, but I want to talk about the top drip here, and I think that came from Cam Hurd. Cam showed up in this fit that can only be described as formal Hawaiian wear. But it's the shoes that do it. And what I love about this in particular, yes, Cam Hurd seen here looking through your little cookout cooler for one of the nice little hard seltzers, is definitely one of the more premier athletes to really come in and say, hey, guess what? I can show up dressed to the nines. And he showed up dressed next to John Combs, and I have to say, kind of made him look a little bit less value. I would have knocked off. I would have said, can I get John Combs on a little bit more of a deal than $3,000 if I had seen him dressed right next to each other. But just saying, that's what it is. Let's go to our next topic. We're talking about power rankings. So right now, I'd like to rank the top 4 teams from worst to best. And we're going to go ahead and start with you, Tim.
You know, it's hard to pick a bad team here. They're all really, really, really great teams. But because we got to rank them, I got to pick one. And I'm going to pick X Marshall because those were the guys that were kind of getting some of the guys that perhaps the team I was consulting with wanted. I would say number 3 comes in with Black Rifle. Pretty tough team, pretty good dudes, but not going to be enough to edge out Hegan Machado and the first form team, He got some really good guys. I think people are sleeping on Hanato Canuto. I think he's going to do well today. But I think, unfortunately, the team that edged everyone out was the Epic Roll team. They got the guys they wanted. They had a clear plan. They buttoned it up quick, and I think they're going to be a very, very tough team to beat.
Beautiful. Jake, tell us a little bit about who you think actually was the best team.
So I tried to approach this in a very nerdy way, and Egghead Warrior would have been very proud of me. I took all the different seeds that on each team, and I tried to add them up and then find out mathematically who had the best draft choices if we were to think about it in terms of who got first, third, fifth, and so on. Now, if I did it that way, I didn't agree with the seeding, so my first choice is actually Dean Lister's Black Rifle. I think that PJ Barch and Max Hansen as a 1-2 punch on the top 2 seeds there is just very, very powerful. They both looked incredible. They're incredible athletes in their own right. And number 2, Tim, you mentioned Epic Roll being one of the best teams. I think that's a close number 2 for me. And then First Form and X Marshall coming in at 3rd and 4th. That's my opinion on the power rankings. But as we've learned, power rankings are just that. They're power rankings, and they're a one man's opinion. So we'll see how it all shapes out this week.
I like that Jake tried science once and was like, didn't work for me. No. Not a fan. All right. Well, I'm going to say this. We're now going to go to our next topic, which is, in case you wanted to know my answer, I actually have a 4-way tie for first. Everybody's winning in friendship on my side. I can do whatever I want.
That is lame.
Guys, I don't know if you understand the power that the moderator has.
Wow.
If I wanted to mute either of you, I could do it.
That's a powerless answer.
It's the powerful answer. I literally came in with a power move.
Powerless rankings.
Look at this. The two of you had one collective thought between now you're celebrating it. Let's move on before the neurons go away on that. We're going to our next one, which is actually survival. And this is an important topic, so I'll take this one first. Gents, we're here for a whole week. So if you're an athlete, I really want you to understand an important element, which is please feed yourselves. These hours are not conducive to any kind of food. And yes, some of you are going to need to figure out where and when to get in your breaks. Have snacks on hand. I know some of you have done competition for 1 day, maybe 2 if it's like an ADCC. Guess what? This is a 4-day experience. 5 days. Just kidding, if you make it to the end. So that is why. Start with a decent breakfast and plan something very accordingly at about the 2:30 region so it kind of gets time to settle. You think I'm lying, but this is exactly what I'm doing. So I wouldn't give you advice that I wouldn't take myself, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere now the rest of my time to one Jake Watson. What is the best tips you have for survival?
So I'm going to kind of piggyback off of your advice. I'm going to say hydration and supplementation.
Oh, God.
1 sec. I'm going to help.
Okay.
Just hear me out. Listen, going and competing in one tournament on 1 day, the recovery process can be kind of hefty. But you are competing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with the hopes of competing Friday, and it's against the best competition in the world. If you're not hydrated, if you're not replenishing your body with electrolytes consistently and making sure that you take your recovery in between matches very, very seriously, your body's not going to hold up. And so you need to make sure that you're properly hydrating so that your muscles don't cramp, you don't get a higher risk of injury, you don't get more tired as your cardio is going to deplete a little bit more throughout the week. So it's very important that you hydrate.
Tim.
I would say to pay attention. What I mean by that is you don't have to beat the best guys on the roster here. You just have to beat the guys that are in front of you. The point is to score points, get kills, get submissions, rack up points, go to the 8-man playoff and win the money. That's what you're trying to do. And don't just pay attention to your roles. Pay attention to the house. What are your teammates doing? Are they staying up all night playing video games? Are they getting rest? Are they stressed out? You can learn a whole lot more about people by focusing on what they're doing off the mat sometimes than what they're doing on the mat. So stay focused, stay sharp, beat the guy in front of you.
Beautiful. Gents, let's go to our next topic. Our next topic is one of social gatherings. What that means is, what are our teams doing on their social media? We have a lot of kids here, and these kids are good at the social media with their TikToks and all of that sort of stuff. So our team here has done the best that we can to figure out what they've been up to and who has been dominating the social media scene thus far in. Actually, just 1 day into it, if you really think about it. Tim, do you have any reports for us on the social media aspect?
You know, a little bit. Some of these guys are laying kind of low before the event, and I get that, but not one Andy Varela. He's all over the internet talking about what he's about to do out here. Other guys, not so much. I did see some messages from some of the guys that talked about some of the things they're trying to do. Hansen was like, I don't want to focus too much on all these guys that I might fight. I just want to focus on the guys that I'm going to fight. Varela said, I'm predicting 12 to 18 points today. So, yeah, I think, some of these guys are staying off of socials because they're focused on the match today.
Jake?
So, actually, surprisingly enough, Jamie Carnell, the number 20 seed, has and I've been noticing that he's been reposting. He has what he lacks in a big fan base. He makes up for it in an incredibly loyal fan base. He's got people reposting his stuff saying, let's go, Jamie. He's been saying stuff like, this guy's got he's got that dog in him. I'm like a raccoon that hasn't been fed for 2 days. That's the kind of dude I am. He's absolutely unhinged on social media and in person. And I think that he really does do a good job of keeping up that persona on social media. He's got, a loyal fan base. And I think that has surprised me the most about him.
Jake, I also want to apologize. Your solo shot, I'm shrinking you on purpose because I want you to kind of feel like boxed in a little bit, my friend. So I hope you're okay with that.
Good call, boss.
Good call.
Absolutely. I want you to feel what it's like. The pressure's on. Hey, here's my one note on this. Nobody's impressing me on social media yet. So this is my challenge to you guys. I think it's time that you step up your game. You're here. This is your brand. This is your business. This is your time to shine. So I would encourage you guys during this week, when you have eyes on you, go for broke. Show your personality because we don't have a lot of TV time. So that way, when you get here, make the use of your time. Get out here, brand yourself, become a hero, become a star, because you're going to let Jamie Carnell take all the crumbs if you even neglect any of your responsibilities on that. Let's go straight to our next one, which is training. Gents, word on the street was maybe people weren't going to train, but I'm now hearing differently. I'm hearing that people have been gathering together. The teams did seem to train together. Tim, do you have information on that?
Only a couple teams. I know Jean-Jacques' team got together and they were looking to train. I have heard a few little rumors about guys just kind of training off on the side. I don't have names. I only hear rumors on that one. The streets doesn't have a definitive answer, so I can't come exactly with names. I do know that Higan Machado, as soon as the draft was over, the first thing he wanted to do was meet with his team, establish communication, get a rapport going, learn about these athletes in a deeper way so he could be a more effective coach. So these guys are definitely coming to the table with an interest to win. They're not just coming to mail it in. These coaches are looking to win, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were all training today, to be honest with you.
Jake, what have you heard?
Well, one thing that is really exciting for me is the different approaches that each of the coaches are taking to lead their team. Dean Lister brings the team onto the competition mats this morning, and he had the powwow there. He led them on the mats, and I think that is incredibly interesting. Like you said, Tim, Jean-Jacques Machado had his team suited and booted, ready to go. Caleb Crump was there, the alternate. Everybody was getting stretched, warmed up, and going over a game plan, I imagine. It's a pretty cool thing for these athletes to have the opportunity to share the mats and to be led by some legends in our sport. And I'm glad to see that the legends themselves are taking such a heavy interest in it.
Well, thank you both for that information. Now we're going to conclude with the matchups that we are most excited for today. Now, they revealed the whole week, and we don't have time to preview the whole week, but I want you to tell me your top 2 matches that you're most excited about today. Let's start with you, Jake.
So actually, PJ Barge versus John Combs. That's a very exciting matchup for me. I think that the last time they had a match together was 2021, and PJ Barge won by an inside heel hook off of a leg drag. John Combs, of course, has improved a lot since then. He's put together a number of great wins against great people. PJ is the man to beat, and John Combs is very, very hungry. And the other person, I would say less than a matchup, is just the person I want to see compete. I want to see Elijah Carlton compete. I believe that he is coming in with a chip on his shoulder. He is the PGF champ, the winningest PGF competitor in the organization's history. Yep. And I think that anybody he goes up with is going to be fireworks because everybody is gunning for him. It doesn't matter who it is. Everybody wants a shot at the PGF King.
Tim.
Well, there's one name that keeps coming up, and that's Carlton. I think the match I'm really looking forward to seeing is Renato Canuto versus Elijah Carlton. We're going to look for Renato to come off with a flying attack for sure. I think that Carlton has a chance. He can use his length, maybe get a quick inside heel hook, something fast. The other match that I think is the most compelling is Carlton versus handsome Kevin Sherrill. We know Carlton put him on the bench, sent him to a spa day. Somebody needs to check the Orleans spa across the street, see if Sherrill's there right now. I doubt it. I talked to him. He told me even though he's a Las Vegas 5, he is a Georgia 10 when it comes to toughness. So that's going to be a great match.
Well, gents, thank you so much for previewing all of that. I'm very excited for today. That is pretty much going to conclude it for us here at the pre-show. Here's what I want you guys to do. Sit down, grab some popcorn, grab a beer, grab a drink, whatever you guys want to do. Sit down for the next few hours and let us entertain you with some excellent submission grappling. And then, once that's done, don't go anywhere. Stay with us because after the action takes place here at the PGF, we will return and have a post show for you with all brand new information, and we look forward to seeing you. On behalf of the gentlemen here, one, Jake Watson, one, Tim Freeman. My name is Rafa Esparza. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.